Minister, my question relates specifically to islands again, and this time Inishbofin, and the rigmarole that has taken place for almost 20 years, where they're waiting for a health centre. So I'm asking you now for an update on relation to the transfer of land, so that essential piece of infrastructure for this island, we can give them a definite answer when it's going to happen. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, Deputy Connolly, for raising this issue. As you're aware, the land on which the Inishbofin airstrip is located is currently owned by Galway County Council. These lands were acquired by way of a compulsory order by Galway County Council on behalf of the department, and part of the site is intended for eventual use by the HSE for a primary care centre. The transfer of these lands to my department has been an ongoing process for a number of years. I understand there were outstanding legal and mapping issues, but these have now been resolved. Galway County Council advised my department last September that the disposal of these lands to my department had been approved at the Council's plenary meeting. They further advised that the Council's in-house solicitors would move forward with the transfer of title. My department has contacted the Chief State Solicitor's Office about the progress on this transfer, and they have advised that the maps have been agreed and they are now waiting on the necessary contracts from Galway County Council. My department will continue to pursue this matter with Galway County Council in order to get it progressed and finalised as soon as possible. However, as I am sure the Deputy can appreciate, any transfer of land such as this is a complex matter and can be a lengthy process. In the meantime, part of the airstrip is being used by the Coast Guard as a helipad in the event of medical emergency evacuations. To further assist with such emergency evacuations, it is planned to install permanent lighting for the helipad later this year.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Connolly.
Thank you, Minister. I wonder, would you have any date on when this will be completed? Will you have any role at all, your department, in the primary care centre, or is that strictly the health executive, or will there be matching funding? And just let me just try and give a tiny bit of background. 20 years. According to the 2022 census, Inishbofin had 184, which luckily was up. The functioning health centre is a basic need. The current facility is not fit for purpose. We had a National Primary Care Island Services Review dated April 17, that long ago. And what did they tell us? They recommended a new primary care centre for both Inishbofin and Inishmore. A commitment had been secured for that. A plan for the completion of these facilities was signed in 2018 and costing had been completed. And here we are now in 2024 and we're waiting for the tiny strip of land so that will be completed and allow for a health centre, the most essential piece of basic infrastructure. Could I really have a date at this point, 20 years later, for the transfer of the land, the completion?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. And as I said to you, it's with Galway County Council at the minute, and my department has been in touch with them in November, in touch again in January to get their solicitor to complete the legals. And you're right, Deputy, I was reading the file all right, and it does go back a good while, to say the least, because the Inishbofin airstrip was completed in late 2010, but in July 2013, the Minister of State at the time decided not to proceed with the development of terminal buildings and other works required by the IAA for use of the airstrip as public airports. Then, fast forward then to 2017, and a public consultation took place about the future of the airstrip, and it was decided that a primary healthcare centre could be located on part of the site. And then in 2018, consultants prepared a feasibility study to establish whether constructing a health centre on part of the site would interfere with the possible use of the site as an airstrip. So then that got that sorted out. So we're now at the situation where Galway County Council are trying to get the necessary contracts prepared.
Deputy Conley.
I won't use up my whole minute but I would, if you could give me a date for the transfer of the land, I'd really, an approximate date. Like, you know, the National Primary Care Island Services Review, that in itself was a work of art. To actually, first of all, to get it done and then to try and get the report. And again, a number of TDs asked for that. And we're talking about a basic health centre, we're talking about a primary care strategy, and we're talking about a policy for the islands. So that's why I go back to the original question when I stood up tonight, the implementation of the policy for the islands on every level, housing, co-ops, primary care. So if you could give a date, thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Catherine. And Deputy, I don't have the date here, but we are keeping the pressure on Galway County Council, and perhaps if there's anything you can do to get them to get the necessary contracts into us, we're happy. The maps have been agreed, so if we can get the contracts in, we're happy to get them signed and moved on. And the National Primary Care Centre, I know, I know how important it is that you have a primary care centre there, and I'll take the matter up then with the Minister for Health and the HSE to see how they're proceeding, because we want to see this happening, but I suppose we can't do anything until we get the transfer of lands, and that's the first step in this process. So we'll keep after it, Deputy.